Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Amani Talks podcast. You're here with your host, Amani, on the podcast where we discuss our Christian-based topics and deepening our relationship with the Lord. And we are continuing on in our Proverb A series. And lately we have been having to do 2 chapters at a time so we can catch up from when I was not able to record. When I was traveling, life happens. That's okay as long as we get it done by the 31st. So we are going to be in chapters 26 and 27 today. So what we do is we go through and we read the chapter of Proverbs. Today it will be 2, and we just discuss our favorite verses. You comment your favorite verse in the comments, and yeah, we just try to apply it to our lives. We try to talk about it and just get a daily dose of wisdom from the book of Proverbs, which is the book of wisdom. So let's go ahead and start reading in chapter 26. Proverbs 26, beginning in verse 1. As snow in summer and rain in harvest, so honor is not fitting for a fool. Like a flitting sparrow, like a flying swallow, so a curse without cause shall not alight. A whip for the horse, a bridle for the donkey, and a rod for the fool's back. Do not answer a fool according to his folly, lest you also be like him. Answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own eyes. He who sends a message by the hand of a fool cuts off his own feet and drinks violence. Like the legs of the lame that hang limp is a proverb in the mouth of fools. Like one who binds a stone in a sling is he who gives honor to a fool. Like a thorn that goes into the hand of a drunkard is a proverb in the mouth of fools. The great God who formed everything gives the fool his hire and the transgressor his wages. As a dog returns to his own vomit, so a fool repeats his folly. Do you see a man wise in his own eyes? There is more hope for a fool than for him. The lazy man says, there is a lion in the road, a fierce lion is in the streets. As a door turns on its hinges, so does the lazy man on his bed. The lazy man buries his hand in the bowl. It wearies him to bring it back to his mouth. The lazy man is wiser in his own eyes than 7 men who can answer sensibly. He who passes by and meddles in a quarrel not his own is like one who takes a dog by the ears. Like a madman who throws firebrands, arrows, and death is the man who deceives his neighbor and says, I was only joking. Where there is no wood, the fire goes out, and where there is no talebearer, strife ceases. As charcoal is to burning coals and wood to fire, so is a contentious man to kindle strife. The words of a talebearer are like tasty trifles, and they go down into the inmost body. Fervent lips with a wicked heart are like earthenware covered with silver dross. He who hates disguises it with his lips and lays up deceit within himself. When he speaks kindly, do not believe him, for there are 7 abominations in his heart. Though his hatred is covered by deceit, his wickedness will be revealed before the assembly. Whoever digs a pit will fall into it, and he who rolls a stone will have it rolled back on him. A lying tongue hates those who are crushed by it, and a flattering mouth runs ruin. This is the chapter in Proverbs that I've seen people comment on or have commentary on when they make like little videos, funny videos, and they say, the fool in Proverbs is starting to sound a lot like me. I'm like, where are y'all seeing this fool? It talks about foolishness a lot in Proverbs, but 26 really hammers on really describing the fool in many different ways. I mean, verses 3 through 12 are all about the fool, the fool, the fool. So he's really trying to hammer the point about what the foolish do so that we can be able to differentiate ourselves from the foolish. Verse 4 stands out to me because we already talked about this in the previous episode about not mirroring people's demons, not falling for the rage bait, not giving someone like matching their energy. Verse 4 says, do not answer a fool according to his folly, lest you also be like him. Yeah, it just goes right with the theme of yesterday's message, just talking about when you try to match someone's energy because you think that you're giving them what they deserve, all you're doing is making yourself look like that person. You're mirroring their demons. And from afar, you argue with a fool and nobody can differentiate who the fool is. You look just as foolish as them. So verse 4 for me is definitely more motivation, attaching itself to what we talked about yesterday to not converse with the foolish because you will also just end up looking like them. Also, verse 11, I believe is a famous verse. As a dog returns to his own vomit, so a fool repeats his folly. I have definitely read that before. I've heard people talk about that before. And this verse speaks to us repeating our mistakes, especially after we've already learned that it was a mistake. I understand that there are some things in life that just feel good. That relationship felt good, even though you knew you shouldn't be in it. And we go back to things that the Lord has delivered us from, because a lot of times, the first time he delivers us from a situation, we learn our lesson through some kind of consequence. But a lot of times that first time we come out pretty unscathed. A lot of times the physical consequence, the mental consequence is not that great. It's just like, oh, I'm glad I got out of that situation before this happened. And then you return to it and the situation finishes you off. You are getting yourself deeper into the consequence. And that's what happens every single time we return to our mistakes. Every single time we return to something that God has literally strategically got us out of. And we've all been there, done that, especially with relationships. I know that I definitely have. Once you learn from a mistake, move on. And better yet, you don't even have to learn from mistakes. You can see the mistakes that people before you have made and decide, you know what? I'm not going to be the exception. A lot of us think that we can repeat someone else's exact situation and we're going to come out with a different result because we're different. We're not like everybody else. Sis, I promise you, most of us are not the exception. Most of us are the rule. We need to be able to learn from the situation of others. We need to be able to learn from our own mistakes, and we need to learn not to return to those mistakes. Because one thing about it, if you're trying to force something in your life, you keep returning to something, the Lord will give you over to that desire, and that's biblical. Let me pull up that verse. Romans 1:24 says, "For this reason, God handed them over to the desires of their own hearts for impurity, so that they afflicted their own bodies with indignities among themselves." And we also see this principle in 1 Samuel when the Israelites are begging for a king, even though the Lord told them, you don't need a king like all these other nations. I will be your king. You are a nation set apart. You're not supposed to look like everybody else. I will be your king. But they begged Samuel for a king. And this is in 1 Samuel 8, starting in verse 6. It says, "But when they said, 'Give us a king to lead us,' this displeased Samuel, so he prayed to the Lord. And the Lord told him, 'Listen to all that the people are saying to you. It is not you that they have rejected, but they have rejected me as their king, as they have done from the day I brought them out of Egypt until this day, forsaking me and serving other gods, so they are doing to you. Now listen to them, but warn them solemnly and let them know what the king who will reign over them will claim as his rights.'" So there are a lot of examples in the Bible about we want something so bad, even though the Lord is like, nope, nope, nope. We return to our own folly. We return to our own mess. And the Lord will eventually give you over to that desire that you are so desperately wanting. And it'll bite you in the butt every single time. Because we see in 1 Samuel later on, they got their king. They got Saul. And Saul ended up having to get sat down by God and Samuel because he was disobedient. And Samuel ended up taking their stuff. And you got to read through 1 Samuel and 2 Samuel to see the progression of Samuel or Saul getting sat down and David becoming king and everything that Saul was doing at the end of his reign and how he just became mad. And then also read Romans and get context for that verse as well. But there's just a lot of insight to how God will give you over to your mess that you keep returning to. And we already talked about how first time you leave, you learned your lesson. Second time you go back, you're getting hurt. You keep going back, it will ruin your life. Okay, let's continue on with Proverbs 27. "Do not boast about tomorrow, for you do not know what a day may bring forth. Let another man praise you, and not your own mouth, a stranger and not your own lips. A stone is heavy and sand is weighty, but a fool's wrath is heavier than both of them. Wrath is cruel and anger a torrent, but who is able to stand before jealousy? Open rebuke is better than love carefully concealed. Faithful are the wounds of a friend, but the kisses of an enemy are deceitful. A satisfied soul loathes the honeycomb, but to a hungry soul every bitter thing is sweet. Like a bird who wanders from its nest is a man who wanders from his place. Ointment and perfume delight the heart, and the sweetness of a man's friend gives delight by hearty counsel. Do not forsake your own friend or your father's friend, nor go to a neighbor's house in the day of your calamity. Better is a neighbor nearby than a brother far away. My son, be wise and make your heart glad, that I might answer him who reproaches me. A prudent man foresees evil and hides himself. The simple pass on and are punished. Take the garments of him who is surety for a stranger, and hold it in pledge when he is surety for a seductress. He who blesses his friend with a loud voice, rising early in the morning, it will be counted a curse to him. A continual dripping on a very rainy day and a contentious woman are alike. Whoever restrains her restrains the wind, and grasps oil with his right hand. As iron sharpens iron, so a man sharpens the countenance of his friend. Whoever keeps the fig tree will eat its fruit, so he who waits on his master will be honored. As in water, face reflects face, so a man's heart reveals the man. Hell and destruction are never full, so the eyes of man are never satisfied. The refining pot is for silver and the furnace for gold, and a man is valued by what others say of him. Though you grind a fool in a mortar with a pestle along with crushed grain, yet his foolishness will not depart from him. Be diligent to know the state of your flocks and attend to your herds, for riches are not forever, nor does a crown endure to all generations. When the hay is removed and the tender grass shows itself, and the herbs of the mountains are gathered in, the lambs will provide your clothing and the goats the price of a field. You shall have enough goat's milk for your food, for the food of your household and the nourishment of your maidservants. So key verses. We have all read or heard verse 17 as iron sharpens iron, so a man sharpens the countenance of his friend. That's a famous verse, as iron sharpens iron. That's why it's important to be mindful of who you keep around you. Like they say, show me who your friends are. That's basically what this verse is saying. Birds of a feather flock together. You should be with people that are strengthening you, sharpening you. As a Christian, it would benefit you to have a mentor who knows more than you about the Bible. For example, if you struggle with reading your Bible and you don't have that much Bible knowledge, surround yourself with people who have more knowledge than you, who will encourage you, because that's the only way. Sometimes the only encouragement that we have in life is not wanting to get left behind. But if we always are around people who are always behind, sometimes we don't really have that motivation to push us forward. Our friends should be pushing us forward. If your friends all know about the Bible and they're talking about Bible stories and you can't really contribute to the situation or the conversation, that should motivate you to be like, dang, like, I don't know what they're talking about. Let me get into my word. As iron sharpens iron, we have to be very mindful, of who our friendships are and the people that we pour into and the people that pour into us, because those are going to be the people that refine us, or they should be. Verse 2 also stood out to me. Let another man praise you and not your own mouth, a stranger and not your own lips. I like this verse because it goes hand in hand with humility, something that I believe we all could use more of no matter who you are. Pride is very sneaky. It sneaks up on you. It's very easy to get caught up in. And pride is definitely something that we need to put to death every single day. And when you make it a habit, when you make it a lifestyle, not to praise yourself, let other people do it. If you're the goat, you don't got to call yourself the goat. If you a real ninja, you don't got to call yourself a real ninja. Like, other people will do it for you, I promise you. If it's real, if it's true, if what you think about yourself is the truth, you don't have to say it. It will automatically show in your life and other people will say it for you. Because just imagine that you are boasting on yourself and you lack some kind of self-awareness and people around you are like, what is she talking about? Like, it never gave that. It never gave what she's talking about. That's embarrassing. That's embarrassing. Recently, y'all, I'm so chronically online. Forgive me. Like, if y'all are not online as much as I am, I get it. But I just be scrolling sometimes. And I guess Slim Thug tried to date Megan Thee Stallion and she turned him down. And so he's in his car just ranting about himself, like, I would have did this and da-da-da-da. And it makes you look corny. It makes you look so corny. Like, it's the biggest ick when a man boasts on himself about what he does and how he's so real and how he could have, would have, should have did this. And it's like, but you didn't get chose. Like we still don't like you. Like it's so cringy, it's so corny. It gives everyone the ick. Don't be that person. Men, if you're watching this, don't be that person that labels yourself, "Oh, I'm such a nice guy. I do this and I do this." If you have to say it, you're lying. If other people are not saying it for you, that means you're not really reflecting it. And if you have to say it yourself, you're lying. Yeah, that's a good lesson for today. And the last verse I wanted to talk about is verse 20. Where is it? 20. Hell and destruction are never full, so the eyes of a man are never satisfied. This verse reminds me of the excuse that a lot of people give, especially younger people, when they say that they're not ready to give their life to God because they're still enjoying their sin. They say, I don't want to live for God right now. I'm still having fun. But, when I turn 35, when I get a little bit older, when I get married and have kids, then I'll turn to God. Then we'll be, we'll go to church and stuff like that. And first of all, that's just the idea in itself purely does not make sense because you could die tomorrow. People die every day. So how are you going to plan the next 10 years of your life and say, oh, in 10 years I'll do that? Bro, you don't even know what you're going to be doing tomorrow. Genuinely, honestly. And that's the very first verse of 27. Do not boast about tomorrow, for you do not know what a day may bring forth. You're talking about, oh, I'll give my life to God later on. You might not have a later on. And the second reason that that's foolish is you think that you can just turn off your sin. You think that you're just going to sin it up. Let's say you're in college and you're talking to someone that says, yeah, in 10 years, I'll give my life to God. I want to have fun while I'm in college. I want to live it up. I want to party. I want to have sex. I want to do all of it, whatever. And later on, when I'm ready to settle down, I'll give God a shot. You think that you're stronger than sin. You're not. You think that you're going to be able to sin it up for, let's say, 10 years and really do your best to get it out of your system. You will never get sin out of your system. People think that they're able to sin this much to get it out of their system, to purge it from themselves, and then they'll feel refreshed, like, I partied so much when I was younger. Now I can finally give my life to God. That's not the way it works. The more sin that you do, the more sin that you'll want to do. Sin only grows. And that's what verse 20 reminds me of. Hell and destruction are never full. They're always looking for more. So the eyes of man are never satisfied. The more sin that you do, the more sin you want. You will never be satisfied. It's like an addiction. It truly is. Addictions grow like that. People don't go from living a nice, productive life to on the streets in a day. It is a progression. It grows. And our desire for sin grows too. So you mean to tell me you're doing drugs right now to have fun, to go out and party, and you think that you yourself are going to be able to shut that off and then give God a chance? Absolutely not. You think that you're having sex right now and that your desire for sex is not going to grow and possibly make it harder for you later on down the road? You mean to tell me that you're going to prostitute yourself for money to be able to travel and be here and and then you're going to be able to go back to a 9 to 5? It does not work that way. Our human nature is that we always want more. We always want more. Verse 20 is saying, the eyes of man are never satisfied. We are never satisfied with a little bit. It always grows. Our sin always grows, and we always want more. The more we feed it, the more it requires. And that's why it's always a smart decision to just give your life to God today. Do it today. Do not wait thinking that you have more time. You don't. Verse 1 tells us we don't know what tomorrow will bring. Don't wait thinking, oh, I'm going to get it out of my system. Verse 20 is saying that our eyes are never satisfied. Don't put off for tomorrow what you can do today. It will always be a good thing to give your life to God today. And that is where we're going to end our Proverb A Day episode today for verses 26 and 27. Join me tomorrow for 28 and 29, and then we'll do 30 and 31. Yeah, I think we'll have to end this series doing just 2 chapters a day, y'all, which is fine because the episodes are not that long, okay? But yeah, I will see you guys tomorrow. Love you, and we will talk later. Bye.